This is the Six of Cups. In the original depiction, there's two children. One that looks like a little boy is handing a cup to a little girl. They're inside the castle wall, so it's like safety. And inside the cup are lilies. There's an X on a pillar in the background, which symbolises the feminine. And there's a figure walking away, but like this idea that there's protection. And the lily is a symbol of the Virgin Mary. I think what the scene is kind of showing is like the teaching of the young of the ways of the goddess, because it involves cups and vessel. Also naivety and innocence, a bit like the Fool card. But my card is very different. I have a tall female figure on the left walking away. She looks very majestic. And then behind her are people, or beings rather, carrying a very large snail. And I've drawn a snail before, so I think that's a depiction of like this idea of the Milky Way, the sacred spiral, old and mean. But when my daughter saw this picture, she said that it looks like a lapis lazuli waterfall. And I think that needs to be the title of a poem at some point. Because all of these beings actually do look a bit like they're made out of water. So just zooming in on her back there, she's got these like three symbols like on the back of her head. I guess the Trinity. And then there's what looks like the skeleton almost of a newt-like figure on the back, going right down. And you can just see the two faces of the snail there, and one of the sea serpents, I suppose, carrying it. So in one of the legs of one of those beings, there's this person. So I get the impression he's male. There's three lines on the bottom of his cloak, some other symbols there too. And there are some symbols in that middle leg as well, person. And so to the right of that symbol, but I can't work out what that is, there is this sort of blue figure with like white hair and a bit of a cloak going on. These are like old spirits or gods or something like that. It's interesting, the negative space between the two, the narrow blue part there, I just get the impression of two faces coming together. So here you can see the faces, or at least one of the faces of the people carrying that large snail. And within the body of that snail, I actually see a couple of birds, but they're facing the opposite way to the way that everybody's going. That white creature to the left of the bird actually looks a bit like a worm that's sticking its tongue out with sunglasses on. And then there's this other figure in the lower half of her cloak, which looks to me like a bit like a leopard, at least some sort of cat-like creature, I think. So I think this is a stunning image, personally. Whereas in the original image, like cups were used to depict this teaching of the ways to the children, this is very much the feminine figure, the goddess bringing the teachings to the children herself. Thanks for listening.